Well, good morning. Regular EV Dad here, doing way too many things at once. So, we have roof rails, we have a roof box. We are going to go and pick up the kiddo. She had a night sleepover. And then we're going to drive, I don't know, about 150 miles, I guess, down towards Hoondale and Monterey with just a roof box, no craziness. We're going to get some accurate numbers today. And while we're doing that, and this will be in a separate video, will be a how EV Notify and a better route planner works. So it's entirely possible that I'm doing way too much and I'm going to screw everything up. Happened before. But otherwise, let's learn about the true efficiency when we're using a roof box. Be safe and enjoy. So, I'll always keep saying this. Sometimes you just got to get out of the house. And it's been a morning getting ready for the big trip, getting the RV ready for my wife to take to Chicago. And just a million things going on, which is why the bug London went to a sleepover last night. So as you watch this, and I'll link to it, we did we trashed the range on this thing. We had both the roof box on, and originally my plan was just to do the drive with the roof box. But we had a chance to go, be a family and go for a bike ride, and London got to ride on her new, not sure what you call it, but tag-along bike, just the wheel and the handlebars attached to my bike, which if you've seen the video, she loved. Has wanted to go on it time and time again since. And so it's like, all right, well, look, we don't have that many weekends together for a while. Let's do this. And so we put the bike rack on, and yeah, a little bit of self-sabotage, but we were only going, I think it was 150 odd miles or so. But it did have an impact. Now we know that the roof bars have an impact. You can hear the aerodynamic changes just by having them fitted. They are relatively noisy. I will say they're not noisy, any noisier than the roof bars we have on the Pacifica. They are noisier than like Thule whisper bars. They're called whisper bars for a reason. But what they're not helped by is the quietness of the vehicle as a whole. It just makes any sound louder. But efficiency did drop by, from memory, 26%. And then I was surprised by that, having the roof box and the bikes. So the question is, now, how much is it with just the roof box? And this is important because I'm still trying to work out whether or not I need to take the roof box to New York. If my co-pilot, Nancy, can pack light, looking at you, Nancy, don't know if you're a subscriber or not, but looking at you, then possibly not, because I'm going to send most of my gear in the van. I'm just going to pack a long weekend pack. I mean, what is the gear I need for 3 days of driving across the country? 3 pairs of jacks. Don't need socks because don't wear them. Just wear my native shoes. And 3 VinWiki Cannonball t-shirts. I mean, what else would you possibly need? 1 pair of jeans, 1 pair of shorts. That's it. Can't imagine anything else. But toothbrush. British dentistry is not a joke. But Nancy's going to have all her dog gear and everything else with her, and we are taking an X Pen for her in the van. but even then, she's going to have stuff. So any space she uses is space the dog can't have on the back seat. So we'll have to work that one out. But I want to have a contingency. I need to have numbers. It'll be interesting to see what this works out at. So the plan for today, very straightforward. Just going to drive down to pick up the bug, drop off some stuff at a thrift store, hopefully, and then down to Prunedale, down to Salinas, charge up in Salinas, come home. That's it. There's chores to be done. Enjoy the drive. And subscribe and like and comment. It changes the world, you know. We have a problem. There is, we're not going to get to 70 miles an hour. The traffic is bad. What was meant to be an hour, going to be an hour and a half. It's saying 46 minutes to do 33 miles. So in efficiency terms, it probably doesn't matter. So hopefully we'll get a clean run up on the way back. I'd wanted to get a good average going down and back just with the winds, but man, We'll see what it is. Stay with us for the most boring road trip ever. So if you're watching the time lapse, efficiency be damned. I'm sorry to say this, but Californians can't drive. I don't know why they have an allergic reaction to the right-hand lane, but now we're coming up to the hill, breaking up into 3 lanes.
Traffic congestion delay, 5 minutes.
I mean, it's just frustration after frustration. And this blinkers on mentality, unengaged driving. These aren't Teslas, autopiloting. This is just, I don't know. It's something I've never understood. This antipathy, this visceral refusal to use the right-hand lane, to use the space available. Just absolutely nuts. If you don't like it, put it in the comments. Charge at the Electrify America Salinas. And we're now going to head north. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there is substantially less traffic. So interestingly, on our way down here, 73 miles, and 2.8 miles per kilowatt hour. Although we know that that's not accurate, because we were going so slowly the whole time, we didn't have the actual resistance, as it were. That said, there was some very uneconomic driving going on, and not just being stuck in a 20-mile-an-hour slushness. Slushness is a word, if you're not familiar with it, which means Californians in slow traffic being less than. Anyway, we're going to head north up towards Gilroy. We have one pit stop to make, and we'll see what happens. Hi. So at this point, the more astute members of your audience have worked out that I'm no longer in the car. I'm back in my home studio, and I'm wearing a different t-shirt. In fact, this is several days later. The reason I'm doing this is because I screwed up. Not with the data, I've got that, I'm looking at it, but I learned an important lesson about wireless mics. Always make sure that it's on, because when it's plugged in to the camera, if there's nothing going in, it's just mute. And I can't even tell you what I'm thinking, let alone what I was saying. So, just to let you know, and I'll put this in a few seconds, at the end of day one, we covered 154 miles. A lot of stop and go traffic, although the journey on the way home was actually pretty good with a couple of stops. But the consumption was 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour. Now I'll return to that devilishly good looking guy, hopefully wearing a different t-shirt, and he'll tell you what's going to happen next. Like and subscribe. Well, good morning. This is a bonus. It won't feel like that because I already know that this will be in a single video. But this is the following day. This is, what is it, Sunday. This is Sunday of Memorial Weekend. Now originally the plan was, very early this morning, we would be getting the last of our packing done for our trip, or my wife's trip with the RV out to Chicago. However, my misfortune is your fortune, because some more parts broke on the RV. And let me just go on a slight tangent on this one. If you're thinking of buying an RV, take a pile of money and set fire to it. If you want to get anything useful out of it, do it on a cold day. Seriously, we love our RV. We're truly blessed. And it allows us to have so much quality time with the kiddo, doing the things that we all love. We being my wife, father-in-law, and I'm just the help. But I just love being with them. But yeah, it's like having a fourth child that's got a permanent disability, and no government assistance. So I need some particular parts for those of you that care about these things. The connecting rods for the ladder on the back. It's a Class A. Oh, you've seen it in previous videos. If not, have a look at the Klamath to San Jose road trip where I was chasing it. Morning chickens. The connecting rods for the have wigged out. The bolts are broken. The connectors, Stromholm-Carlson connectors. It's a fantastic name. And I know I got it wrong. Don't need to correct me in the comments unless you truly need to. I need to get those, and they don't have those at my local RV place. And this is kind of important because my wife will not have a car. I am the car. So they're going to Colorado first, and then they're stopping with some friends of ours in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Or maybe not actually, they're going to go see them in Nebraska on the way. A bit more efficient. And then, and so my wife, the bike is my wife's transport for, you know, unexpected necessaries like Trader Joe's chocolate milk, the currency with which we buy our child's affection. And so, yeah, I've got to go up to Fairfield to another RV outfitters who has these, and if they don't have them, there's 3 other RV stores nearby. But yeah, this isn't something available from the Camping World catalog, so it's you need to go know somebody who knows what they're doing. Not saying Camping World doesn't know what they're doing, but Camping World is we call it the last resort for a reason. Anyway, so benefit for you, long-winded way of saying, is that I haven't re-zeroed. The roof box is still got stuff in it. I realized last night that I was going to have to make this trip, and so I left the stuff that's up there acting as a temporary weight, and then it's about 150 pounds worth of stuff up there. Grooming tables, crate wheels, and X-Pens for those that truly care. And then we're going to be doing Rainy Highway, so we'll see what the numbers look like after that. So that's the plan. I'll check back in with you part of my reason for adding this extra leg onto the video, and crucially, you know, using the data. Right now, we've just come over, and I'll get the name wrong, and I apologize. I call it Benicia Bridge. It's the bridge on the way to Benicia. And from the couple of miles out approach to that, to Vacaville, I'm going to say. There's a lot of wind. As you come round the bay, the wind is completely different to anywhere else. If you're watching the time thing, I don't know if you see it, but trees are moving around. I can feel it. There's a north to south easterly wind playing. I can feel it coming off the front left corner of the car, and then we're going to do the reverse. And so I think that the data I get from this, whilst not scientifically pure, will be representative of what I would find on the road trip. If you've ever driven, if you haven't driven across the Salt Flats from West Wendover to Salt Lake City, then you don't know wind. And I know where you live. And feel free to add in the comments. There is, you know, the place with the worst winds. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. When California drivers. When I was last year we took the RV for a COVID vacation, spent some time with friends and family in Cheyenne. You're gonna go nowhere, go somewhere with friends. And we very little wind all day coming from. We did our usual thing of stopping in Boomtown overnight, leaving late, staying in Boomtown, and then shotgunning to Salt Lake, to the RV park. We always used a stopover, and no wind. Got through West Wendover, broke through the small range there, and I was driving at 20 degrees and change, just to keep the vehicle straight. And it was work, and it's longer than you think. In fact, I embarrassed myself. I'm going to do it again now. When I did when I took the Tesla to Wyoming to pick up the dog last year, the genesis of these road trips, good amount of wind, and I touched my brakes and killed the I want to try and keep my speed constant. That was my first time crossing when I came back from Salt Lake to San Jose. That was ironically my first time crossing the Salt Flats in daylight. Up until then, it's always been a nighttime thing. We've always timed it, you know, that Salt Lake is where we finish our day on our way to somewhere else. And I commented to the camera, I'm trying to back this up, it's quite amusing at some point, that wow, it really does go on. I thought I was across it. I honestly thought that once you got to, not Julie, but somewhere you're past it, and then you get past the Salt, and then you just keep going. Anyway, I digress. But the wind's just phenomenal, and you know the effect on the fuel consumption is crazy, and that's in the RV. Even in the Tesla, I had charged up, gave myself an extra charge at West Wendover because I was intending to open the taps. It wasn't a performance, but I was, you know, speed curious. And, you know, I know that I do it. Whilst I may not remember the exact names of the Newtonian, is it Newton? I'm going to have to keep, this is opposite. I mean, been thinking about this for the last half hours. But anyway. See, I now remember the class where I was taught this. And we were dealing with Einstein. Now, this wasn't relatively, it wasn't E equal MC squared. But it was energy coefficient. No. I must stop. Anyway, sorry, Doc Windsor. I'm sure Doc Windsor will come up in the future. He was a wonderful man and a huge influence on me. I am a man, not a boy, because of that guy. Anyway, so so many tangents. She's just gnawing at me. So close to remembering. Nice cows. Anyway, I think that this data set, which is going to be some just under 300 miles, I reckon, will be representative of the type of wind resistance I could expect, you could expect, on a long distance trip. So it'll be quite interesting. And the GOM, the gasometer, is actually, as we're carrying speed in wind, it is going down noticeably quicker than it was on the approach. Yeah, I'm not going to share the data with you right now because I think that will ruin it. But let's just say we're less efficient than I expect it to be. But we'll see what it is on the way back with the wind behind us to be represented. Okay. Onwards, and I have seen another location which desperately needs a site review. That's quite interesting. I'll leave it there. Karma just arrived and slapped me something stupid. My only chance of getting these parts today is to go to Camping World. I would rather do bad things to myself with rusty nails than go to Camping World.
Attention, toll road ahead. Attention, toll gate ahead.
But I must. That is the toll. That is the toll. Alright, but what it means is we get 40 miles of additional data, and you're going to get a special DC fast charger review. Onwards. Alright, one last update before we finish. So I'm heading home, having just come across the Benicia Bridge. We've got 41 miles to the DC fast charger I'm using, which is, I forget, it's one in Fremont. I've not been to it before, but it's one in Fremont. And I've got 45 miles on the GOM. And as I said, I've actually got to the point where I pretty trust the GOM at this point. The wind is interesting. So the temperature's risen substantially today. In fact, back when I pulled off in Vacaville, in the 15 minutes it took me to go in the store and come out, the temperature went from the low 60s to high 70s. And sadly, as is normal for summer, temperature won't come down below 80 now for months. Maybe it'll come down at night, but you know, it's going to be pretty high for the foreseeable future. And then, so we're just going to DC fast charge, nothing special here. This is just have a little bit of time on my hands, and we're going to be, I don't want to tax the electric system at home today, so thank you, Electrify America, free charging. And then we'll finish this journey. So lights just come on. I've just gone through 20%, which is fine. It's a I made a mistake earlier. I said that I'd done 2.5. I did one of my green glow chats, albeit without the green glow. And I said I'd done like 2,500 miles. No, the miles have really snuck up on me on this thing. I'm up to 3,500. I mean, and here's the crazy thing: 3,500. I think I make my first payment on it tomorrow. So, yeah. I didn't plan to do. Yeah, technically that's a 40,000 mile a year. I won't be doing. But interesting. Anyway, alright. Onwards. Well, here we are. Time for some conclusions. The numbers, I'm going to take out the time. Because ultimately this was over 2 days. But I said before, I think this is real life. I mean, it was driven in real life. And so I think the numbers would stand up on any long distance road trip, or, you know, just, I don't know. Your version of long distance may change from mine. However, the long-term numbers, i.e. yesterday and today, in terms of consumption, were exactly the same. 2.6 miles per kilometer hour. Now, for those of you doing this at home, that means with a 77 kilowatt usable battery, it is literally a fraction over 200 miles of range from 100%. And in fact, I just did a quick charge up at an EI site at Walmart a few miles away, put it up to 49%, and that's what the predicted range would have equaled out to 200 miles. So that's what I'm going to use as a marker as I go back into a better route planner and look at my gaps. And I don't think there was a point, there was no point where I was going to do 200 miles, other than the first charge of the day. There's some long legs, 176, and that means, you know, more charging time, sadly, into the top of the pack when, you know, when it's slower. But this was real world. It's 87 degrees. I've been running the air conditioner in the car most of the time, you know, other than first thing this morning. You know, and right now that's all that's running, and it's pulling 1.1 kilowatt hours. So I know that to be an accurate thing. Speed has been 65 to 70 something consistently. So these are real world numbers. We'll see, and I will make sure, for those who have been asking, I will make sure that efficiency becomes part of my standard vernacular moving forward. And on the longer distance road trip, we'll talk about consumption more, because I think that is something people really do care about. And one last thing on the D and B functionality. Like I said, D just provides more. So earlier in this trip, and this may or may not make it into the edit, so if this doesn't make sense, sorry, but it's worth mentioning. So I was grasping at straws, trying to remember what Newtonian rules it were that governed energy efficiency, consumption, and transfer. It is, of course, the second law. I believe it's the second law. If I'm wrong, that's what the comment section is for. But I want to say thank you to somebody who sadly passed a few years ago, a guy called Dr. Tony Windsor, that's W-I-N-Z-O-R, who was the professor of physics at St. Bede's. I was going to be an astrophysicist. That was what I wanted to do, but at some point physics no longer was physics. It became math, and I'm very good at math. I do it in my head, and big numbers and all that kind of stuff. But I don't enjoy it. It's a skill set that's not desired. And I wasn't interested in computers. Was more interesting. So thank you, Doc Windsor, for, here we are 30 years later, and many years after his passing, and I'm still intrigued by the conversations that we had. He was a marvelous man. Nothing to do with this, everything to do with the future, because the most important lessons that he taught me weren't about physics. It was about being a member of society, and we'll be passing those on to Co-Pilot London. Lots more to come in the channel, so please, if you haven't, subscribe, leave a comment, share, contribute, be part of this. This is probably the last video, I think, possibly before I'll start my road trip. So if there's an opportunity to see any of you in my major places, Salt Lake, Denver, Chicago, and New York, it'd be great to see you. It'd be great to meet you at Charger and convoy with you. Whatever happens, just be safe and have a great day.